Hello and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name's Colette and I'm here today to do a reading for the collective for this new moon that's just taken place in Cancer at the same time as we had a solar eclipse at the 0 degree point. If you're interested in finding out any more about the astrology, there will be a link in the description box down below, but I will also have just uploaded my astrology intuitive read for the new moon solar eclipse. So if you're interested in that, that will also be on my channel. If you're more interested in the astrology, it's a complete kind of rundown of what I think is taking place. This is the tarot part of that read. So I need to separate the two, tarot and the astrology part, so I will probably have less astrology in this part, but that doesn't mean that it's not relevant. So I'm going to bring in the energy of the Cancer moon, the new moon in Cancer, and what it actually is about here. And it is saying you and your loved ones are safe, which is really the Cancerian energy. Cancer wants to be safe. Cancer wants to feel secure. It wants to feel comfortable in its own environment, in its own home especially. If Cancer doesn't feel safe within its own environment and its home life, then it will find it hard to feel comfortable or safe or secure outside in the bigger environment, in the outside world. Cancer needs to know it has some security to come home to, whether that's an actual place or whether that's a person. It needs that home, it needs that security. So this is really what is happening, what is taking place for us at this time, is this energy is being highlighted by the solar eclipse, by the new moon, which is a new beginning of something. And because it's eclipse energy, it is going to be long lasting. It will last at least until 6 months. In fact, we may not even begin to see the actual energies start to show themselves until later down the line as well, because the moon and the sun, although they've been conjunct the north node in Gemini, which has given us the actual eclipse, they haven't made aspects to any other planets. So that in itself is a very interesting state of being as well. So those two energies of the kind of divine masculine and the divine feminine have kind of been working together and kind of keeping it very much to themselves during this particular new moon energy. Often the sun and the moon, when they're together, will be making aspects to all other planets and bringing in all different energies, or giving out those energies as well. But this time round there has not been any other planets involved, so that's another reason why I feel we may not see much actually happening, although this is going to take place on the world stage and we will see changes happening on the world stage. But I feel the underlying bigger energy of what this is about, which is really about unconditional love for ourselves and for our fellow human beings, is not really going to start showing itself until much further down the line here. So that's one energy of what's taking place and one aspect. And we also have this card here, which I've pulled out, which is be bold and make the first move. And the reason I pulled this is because Cancer is a cardinal sign. So having the moon in Cancer means that we have a cardinal moon, and cardinal energy is very much about action, about doing, about making something happen. So it's kind of saying grasp your destiny here, is what I'm kind of feeling. It's time to grasp your destiny. Time to make bold moves. Time for us to, I feel somehow, change our acceptance, if you like, of the way that things have been or the way that things are at present, and actually kind of start bringing in a new and different energy. And again, the astrology reading that I did yesterday has more explanation about that. But the energy in itself with Cancer is also very much about love as well, the mother and nurturing. And this is kind of reflected in this card here, which came out today. I shuffled these cards for absolute ages before anything happened. I really felt as though I was getting nowhere and that nothing was actually going to come out. And so eventually, when I kind of thought I'd given up, this card decided to just kind of throw itself on the floor. So this card here, which is taken from the Celestial Gallery meditation deck, is actually green Tara. She might look black there, but she isn't. It's actually very green. Kind of difficult to see. That's better. That is green Tara. And her mantra is Om Tara Tutara Ture Soha. And it's a mantra of swiftness. But I will read what it says. It says, a blending of white, yellow and blue colours which symbolise pacifying, increasing and destroying fuse to reveal the radiant green Tara. The cosmic mother is always ready to come to your rescue from the 8 great terrors. She is the great protectress against all harm and ill will. Just as a child is fearless in the presence of the Divine Mother, lead your life free of fear. The material world is but a delusion. And her overall kind of, the overall words here are Supreme Protectress. So I will just show you that. But that is very much the Cancer energy. Interestingly, very much the Cancerian mother energy, because that is literally what Cancer is about. It is about the mother, it is about childhood, it is about the universal womb. It's that safety, that security. It's our early young childhood days of being taken care of by the mother. And so the green Tara coming out for me at this time, I feel, for the collective at this time, is kind of saying that this is the protective energy that we are kind of being taken care of by, but at the same time also that we are needing to kind of focus our attention on. And this is kind of, for me, very interesting because it comes out very strongly in the astrology read I did yesterday. That was really something that came through very strongly for me. So if you're interested, like I say, in the kind of more feminine energies and things, you may want to check that reading out. So I'm going to start the reading for the collective here with the first card that came out, which is the Ace of Cups. This is the very heart of our reading, and again it's a very kind of Cancerian energy that I feel here, because it is all about love. It's all about unconditional love. It's all about compassion, sensitivity, kindness, caring, nurturing. These are all attributes of the Cancerian sign and the 4th house. And this is a beautiful card because it's literally overflowing, and it's kind of saying that this is, like, for me, this is the heart energy. The very center of the reading is this heart energy with this cup, which for me represents our heart or our heart chakra energies, which are literally kind of overflowing with this feeling of love and abundance from within to without. This is kind of what it's saying to me, and I think this is what this Cancerian solar eclipse has been about. It's been about bringing in that nurturing, mothering energy to be very much highlighted over the next 6 months and even beyond that as well, because this is a huge eclipse, especially because of the point that it's on as well. And again, I explained that in the astrology video. So I kind of see this in the background as the moon, but it could also be the sun. So it could even represent the eclipse that's happening here, with the moon and the sun's rays behind it today. It's coming through kind of like that, and it's kind of saying that this is the new that we are starting. This is what we're stepping into. We're stepping into this energy of loving ourselves, of finding something within ourselves that we in some ways had lost, in some ways that we no longer even valued maybe. And this also, I feel, has something to do with the Venus retrograde as well, that has been happening, taking place during this Gemini season in Gemini itself, which is of course the masculine and the feminine energy as well, the balancing of the two dualistic energies. There's something very kind of, being an ace, it's a new energy. So that in itself kind of expresses a lot, that it is a new energy. It's a new energy coming in. It's a new kind of allowing, I feel, in many ways. It's kind of an allowing ourselves to reawaken even to this energy here. Because in this card, he does have his eyes, or she has her eyes closed. It has its eyes closed. This divine energy here has its eyes closed. So it's kind of saying that this is an awakening for me. And it is literally covered by the moon. You can't make it up, I'm telling you. You really can't. It's like, for me, the moon, the challenge, the feminine energy, the kind of really coming to terms with what that means for us as a collective as well. The divine feminine energy that has been denied for so long. And again, I talk about this in my astrology reading, so I don't really want to go into it too heavily here today, but it has been a lot about the patriarchal system. And I feel that that is part of what is happening with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction that I'm always going on about. If you watch any of my videos, you're probably sick to death by now of actually hearing me say it. But it took place in Saturn and Capricorn, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is an incredibly masculine energy. Control, restriction, laws, establishment, governance, all that kind of thing. But interestingly, Capricorn itself is a feminine energy, even though it doesn't come across as a particularly feminine energy. When you think of Capricorn, you kind of think of sternness and kind of austerity and that kind of thing. And being the last earth sign as well, Capricorn tends to have this, and I feel that that's also got something to do with this here. You know, the material world is but a delusion. And it's like we are seeing this happening, this falling apart around our ears at this moment in time. Everything is crumbling, all the patriarchal systems, the empires, everything is kind of falling apart. And it's even things in the media saying things like, you know, that so-and-so fiddles, it's that kind of saying, you know, like while Rome burnt, but they're kind of implying the same thing with London as well at this moment in time, you know, so the similarities are there. So for me, this energy of our obstacle, what is covering us and what's stopping this from being able to be released and awoken, is the fact that we still need to come to terms with this energy, this female denied energy. Because, for instance, how often do you hear the word goddess in particular in a conversation? People drop the word God in so often, but you don't hear the equivalent, the equality, the equal side of that, which is goddess, because it has been removed patriarchally by a system that doesn't want the female energy involved. And so slowly as a female, our psyche, our what we stand for, if you like, who we are as a female, what we're about, has been kind of overtaken by this very masculine driven society, which has kind of made us into you know, powerful women, but we're powerful women in the sense of having to emulate men. In order to be powerful women, we have to emulate a man. We can't be powerful women as women. And that, I feel very strongly, is what this energy is about, and what this whole new moon is about as well. The solar eclipse. And the solar eclipse is when the sun energy is cut off from the earth. It's like the light is cut off, and it was almost a total solar eclipse. So almost completely that light has been cut off. And so when it re-emerges, it's like it's a new frequency has been put into place, and that new frequency is this 0 point of Cancer energy. So let's see what we have in our heads here collectively and what we are aware of. We have the Two of Wands, Two of Staves. It's in reverse. So I kind of feel this is saying that we're looking for something new. We're waiting for that to turn up. It's like, you know, we've kind of been in this limbo land. We've kind of been in this place of nothing really happening because of what's been taking place over the last few months as well. Of us not being able to put our energy into anything. We've really had to kind of withdraw and really kind of, you know, it's like the world outside, the material world, if you like, is almost kind of, how can I put it, almost kind of, the energy of it has kind of shrunk or been less than, because it's not had so much energy being put into it or being fed into it. So I feel that what's in our head is that we are looking for something new. It's almost like we have some awareness of the fact that things aren't, as they say, going back to normal. So it's like, you know, we're looking out into the horizon and kind of saying, well, what's next then? What's coming next? What are we, you know, what can we expect? But it's in reverse. So at the same time, we're kind of in that in-between stage of having to let something go from our past so that we can move forward into our present. So there is a reluctance here, because if you look here, there is this wall here as well, which for me is that kind of barrier, that kind of cut-off point, if you like, literally today, the cutting off point of the sun. And one of the staves is on the other side of the wall here, and she has this one in her hand. So she's kind of saying, right, okay, I'm ready to explore something new. I'm ready to take my energy and my passion and my desire and put it into a new idea. But as of yet, I'm not quite sure where that is, what it's going into. So that's what's in our heads. And what we've been working with, but the energy that is leaving us, the Venus energy, the love card, is interesting as well, because Venus, we have literally been working through this Venus retrograde now for quite some time. So we've been made to look at our values. What do we value within a relationship? What do we value within ourselves? Because what we value within ourselves will also be reflected outwardly in the love that we express as well. Who do we choose to have in our lives? Who do we choose to share our life with? So collectively, we've all been in this place of working with this Venus energy at the same time as everything has been on this kind of lockdown as well. But slowly things are kind of coming out of that kind of retrograde time, because Venus is just about to go direct as well. In 2 days' time, she will actually start moving directly in the sky. oh, actually 2 days time, I think she stations direct at the same time as Neptune stations retrograde as well. And she won't start actually going direct until the 25th. But Venus is coming to a halt now. She's going to reach the point of her shadow, the end of her shadow period, of where she originally started when she first went into her shadow period, 05 degrees. Again, it's in my astrology. But she has moved forward to the 21 degree mark, or the 20 degree mark, 50, and then she's moved back. So this is where she's at now. She's about to turn and go forward again over that same point in the sky of Gemini. So this will be the third time that she will be going over that spot. So it's kind of really emphasizing all of our relationship, feelings, emotions, which is very much to do with this energy here as well. It's like Venus has also become the evening star now. She's no longer the morning star. While she was retrograde, she went across the front of the sun, and so she went behind the sun, and she disappeared for 8 days. And when she came back out as the evening star. So there's a different energy with Venus now as well. Venus is, when she turns direct, she's going to be a lot more determined, a lot more understanding of what it is that she does and doesn't want anymore in her life, what she does and doesn't value, and that's going to reflect outwardly for ourselves as well. We are going to feel that energy very strongly of what is it I don't need anymore, which again is this Cancer energy, it's new moon. It's kind of saying, what are you going to put your focus into? What are you going to put your time and your attention and your energy into? And what is it you're going to let go of? What is it you no longer need? And what we have down below here, the Seven of Swords in reverse, for me is a kind of feeling that because there's an energy of deceit in this card, there's always this kind of feeling of things not necessarily being as they appear. And so within this reading, if I put it within the structure of this reading, then for me it kind of expresses as us having a realization, if you like, that things are not as we believe them to be necessarily. And this is what's in the deeper subconscious. This isn't an awareness. This is something that we feel. This is something that we're kind of beginning to kind of, we know something's wrong. We know that it isn't right. We know that it doesn't feel right. We know that it doesn't, that it's no longer working for us the way that it used to. But we may not quite yet be ready to accept it or recognize it or even kind of bring it into the conscious awareness yet. It's still kind of digesting, shall we say. We're still kind of getting used to it. And it's interesting as well for me that she carries these 5 swords, because 5 swords in a tarot reading for me is all about kind of adversity. It's all about, 5s are all about adversity. So when it's the swords, it's about a particular feeling of things really not working in our favour. Like things are really against us and we're having a lot of trouble trying to come to terms with something or understand something, because it's swords, it's a mental process as well. So there's 5 swords here that she's carrying, and there's 2 swords here that are stuck in the ground. And there seems to be a general theme for me at the moment of this 2 energy, this kind of Gemini energy as well, if you like, with the duality. And I've spoken about this quite a lot previously in my full moon and new moon readings, astrological and tarot as well. about how the duality is going to be very big over the next 2 months, because the moon's 18 months, got 2 on the brain, because of the moon's nodes, north node in particular, being in Gemini, and the south node being in Sagittarius. So the south node is about where we're releasing and past energy, what we need to let go of, what's no longer working for us. And the north node is where we need to kind of, is like the North Star, if you like. It's like the destiny. Where are we pointing our ship? If you were on the ocean, that's where you would be heading. So these 2 swords for me kind of represent that dualistic energy again. And we have it here as well with these 2 of wands. And I kind of just get the feeling that it is going to be something very big, that just the 2 in itself and what it kind of represents, the opposing side of things like right, wrong, black, white, which is quite relevant at the moment as well, and male, female, right brain, left brain. There is so many of these kind of dualistic energies, and it's a kind of need, I feel, somehow to bring them together as well and accept them as just this one. Like, you know, down here, like in the physical realm, we kind of separate everything. Everything gets separated, but in totality, if you like, in what's the word I'm looking for here? In actuality, in the kind of bigger sphere of things, everything is kind of one. It's all connected. It just all comes from this one energy source. And again, talking to 2s, we have this energy here again in reverse. This is what's moving in, and I feel that this is going to be about this masculine and feminine energy coming together. It is in reverse though, so I don't think it's going to be an easy thing for us to kind of work with, or to it's like we have to somehow recognize that we have the masculine within the feminine and the feminine within the masculine. And again, I think that's why Venus has been retrograde in Gemini, which is a masculine sign. And she has kind of been coming to terms with that side of herself as well, I feel. And we all do have that. You have very masculine women, you have very feminine men. And it's that kind of understanding of what the energies are about, and not trying to separate it. Not trying to say, oh, you know, you're a man, so you've got to behave like this. You're a woman, so you've got to behave like this. And in order to get ahead and be something successful, then you've got to behave more like a man. That kind of thing, you know, it's that kind of separation of these energies which has been happening for so long, and it just causes the divide and the kind of arguments and the kind of non-acceptance of each other and ourselves in many ways. But you have here again this ace up the top with this energy of the sun and the moon. So it's like the ace and the 2, the ace, the energy of the ace moving into this 2, but they are yet to be brought together in that sense. It's like one is being more highlighted still here, and the other one here, which is being held by the female, interestingly enough, is kind of not as obvious as this cup, which obviously is his cup, and it is in reverse. So it's kind of saying to me that this is still going to be an ongoing issue. This is, I feel very strongly, the issues that we are going to be working with that this Cancerian solar eclipse new moon has brought in to our awareness, but it's not something that's going to be obviously out there immediately. Although I do think it will play out on the world stage, because the fact that it has literally taken place on the certain point, the cardinal, Aries cardinal point, which is the world axis, which also relates to the 0 Libra point, the 0 Capricorn point, and the 0 Cancer point, as well as, I think that is all 4 of them actually, Aries, Libra, Cancer and Capricorn. They are the 4 points of the cardinal cross. So we have, in our hopes and our fears, the 8 of Pentacles. And I kind of feel that this is about us working on ourselves here, on mastering, because the 8 is a number of change and mastery. It's about kind of, all of these represent our learning experiences in order to get us to this point here, what we have to go through to reach this. So this is kind of all the past, if you like, and this is our focus of attention at this time. So because it's upright and because it's in our hopes and our fears, we are hopeful as a collective. We do believe in some ways that we can master this, that we can overcome our difficulties and our problems and our issues. And the fact that she's got her paintbrushes out as well, and the fact that she's kind of, you know, all of these are the same, and somehow I feel as though with this one she's kind of painting something here. It's like she's changing it, she's kind of making it something different to all of these here. So she's willing to change it, she's willing to work on it, she's willing to make something creatively inspired. But we do have with this card, interestingly enough, these two came out together, the card of tradition, Juno, the Hierophant in reverse, and this for me is the Sagittarius card. Again, I break with tradition. Most people say this is the Taurus card, but I don't see this as a Taurus card as much as I see it as a Sagittarius, kind of very much based in our belief systems and our religion, our faith, our it's for me it's kind of the bigger picture energy as well, but I kind of see it as this, because it's our beliefs in many ways kind of are who we are. You know, literally people will die over their beliefs, but a belief ultimately is just a belief. It doesn't mean that it's true. It doesn't mean that ultimately it is all there is. And I think that's what this energy for me is reflecting today, is this, as I was saying, the North Node is in Gemini, so that's where our focus and our attention is going. And the South Node is in Sagittarius, so that's what we're having to let go of. We're having to let go of our old, ingrained, traditional beliefs in order to create something new, beautiful, inspiring. So we're being asked, can we do that in many ways? And because this has come out reverse and this has come out upright, I feel as though we do have that kind of hope there. This is the Major Arcana card, but it is in reverse. So this is very ingrained, I feel. This is the ingrained energy of like centuries of history and things that we have been told, whether it comes to religion, you know, this is how it is, it's written in stone, it's like blah, 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 blah. And it's what we pass on to our children and children's children, etc., etc. And it's that kind of ongoing process of keeping the tradition, whether it's the tradition of the family or the tradition of society or the country or whatever that tradition is. It's kind of keeping it rock solidly in place. But because it's reversed, it's kind of saying to me that, you know, it's not working for us anymore. We need to kind of realise that this is what we need to let go of here. And this is what we need to start focusing our attention on, is this new way of looking at the world. A new understanding. Also, this kind of represents for me this, again, this saying here of, you know, the material world is but a delusion. And there's also a saying, you know, albeit, I think it's Einstein, albeit a very persistent one, which it is, because we've been told it is over and over and over again. So that kind of fits in with the whole belief thing, you know, if you believe it, then it's true. So it is about moving out of that kind of very solid idea that what we live in is how it has always been and how it will always be. And that is challenged. And people don't like to have these beliefs and their ideas on things and the things that they hold kind of very solidly as their kind of crutches in many ways as well. Things that they really, you know, it scares people to try and go beyond their own kind of boundaries, if you like, which is another part of the Sagittarius energy as well, is pushing beyond those boundaries to see the bigger picture. And that's when you get things like, you know, cognitive dissonance comes in and kind of, you know, your whole world is rocked because you kind of have stepped out of your comfort zone and it doesn't feel comfortable anymore. It doesn't feel safe and secure, which is that Cancerian new moon energy. It's like, you know, I need to feel safe and secure. So when you step out of that comfort zone and it doesn't feel safe and secure, you immediately rush back into what you know, because there's a safety element in that as well. But at the same time, there's also a restriction because it's not allowing you to move beyond. Collectively, it's not allowing us to move beyond what we believe is the truth, which again is another Sagittarius quality or attribute. Sagittarius are very much into truth and freedom and justice and championing the underdog and that kind of energy of just generally, I'm kind of lost my train of thought here. I'm not sure where this is going at the moment. Give me 2 seconds. The seeker. The seeker. Sagittarius is the seeker. It's the seeker of truth. It's the seeker of like I was saying, knowledge, higher knowledge, wisdom, all the ancient kind of like philosophy, all that kind of thing. So Sagittarius is very much searching for the answers. So what we have moving in as our kind of overall outcome here is the Four of Cups. So interestingly, we've got the Ace, the 2 and the 4. So the 4 for me here is a time of kind of solitude and a time of although we don't have the 3 of Cups, we do actually have the 3 separately there. She's got the 1 cup on that side, which again kind of represents this card for me here. And if you put these together, you also have this the Three of Cups here as well. And the Three of Cups is about celebration. It's also about a time of deciding whether or not you want to put your time, your energy and your effort into, say, you know, something that's kind of turned up in your life, a new idea, a new value. Is it worth it kind of energy? So it's like there's one, this is what I'm getting is kind of there's something still missing here within this card, within this energy, within this element. It's like we still haven't quite got that balance. Although we've got the Ace and the 2 here, as I was saying, which make up the 3, it's like this cup here is missing. And so we still have to awaken. We still have to awaken to something. We're still not ready. We're still not... so we're still... She's asleep here as well, which is also what I find interesting because of this card here with the kind of sleeping sun and moon in the background there. Masculine, feminine energies joined together. So what I'm kind of getting here, the moon is in the background here. There is no sun, but the moon is there. So it's about the kind of deeper feelings, the Cancerian energy that is carrying on into the future. Like I was saying, at least 6 months, probably even longer down the line than that. But what I'm feeling is that we're going to get to a stage where we're going to kind of realise that there is something that is keeping it imbalanced. Something that's not bringing everything together. Because this is a card of discontent. It's a card of wanting to be happy. But really there's a deeper inner discontent. It's a 4, so it is a challenge. And this whole year is all about challenge. 2020 is a 4 year. 4 is a square energy. Square energy is challenging energy. So we're still going to be challenged by our by our beliefs, but also by our, I think, our history and our past kind of returning to I just get this overall feeling, again, this kind of very feminine energy here. If you look at her, she's very, very feminine. So it's kind of saying, you know, what is the feminine energy about as well for me? You know, is it that kind of maiden in distress that needs to be rescued? And if it is that okay? Is that, you know, is that a quality? Or is it also, you know, the warrioress, the woman who wants to be on her own and is quite happy to be on her own here? Who likes her own space, who can live quite happily without being in a relationship with somebody else? All these things that, you know, society kind of says, oh, you've got to fit in and be like this. You can't be like this because it doesn't fit the mould. And I feel that that's kind of what this is saying as well, this kind of, you know, deep discontentment, trying to break free of the mould here, the traditional moulds, literally, of the masculine and the feminine energies as well. So we have over the top of this heart of the reading, the 3 of Pentacles. Just to clarify this energy, the 3 of Pentacles in reverse. Well, the 3 of Pentacles, when it's upright, is talking about working together with something, kind of a team energy. it can be an energy of kind of adding more to something. So you've got two and you add another element to it, which creates something new. But it's in reverse here. And it is over the top of these energies here with the Ace and the Moon energy. So I kind of feel that it's saying that, you know, we do need to work on this, and we do need to work on this together, even though we may not want to. Well, these cards are alive. So in our heads, and what we're aware of is the High Priestess energy over the top of this Two of Staves here. This looking for something new and creative. And the High Priestess in reverse is again very similar to the Moon energy. There's a real similarity. They both have this kind of unknown quality to them. Information that isn't necessarily being given out yet. Things that are being kept secret or hidden, or things that are still kind of gestating and not yet ready to be revealed type of energy, both with the Moon, as I was saying, and especially with the High Priestess when she's in reverse. It's like she knows on a deeper level, because this is what's in our head and what we're aware of. That we're moving into this period of time where it is, particularly because of this Cancer area energy as well. This Cancer new moon solar eclipse energy is also about trusting our instincts and our inner knowing and our inner world, really. Our feelings, our emotions. And we're not brought up to do that. We're not brought up to trust how we feel. It's all up here. It's all in the head. Everything is the thought process. It's like, you know, our thoughts run away with us. Which I feel is why this is upside down as well. Because both of these are upside down. So it's almost like our world is not yet ready to be turned up the right way. In the sense of that things are not yet ready to actually be revealed and shown to us, so that we can actually start processing or working on them. It's like, I feel with the High Priestess, there's things going on behind the scenes, behind the curtain, that are yet to be revealed. But they're things from a higher realm, a higher divine, because if you see here as well, she's wearing this mask and this helmet, which is kind of all lit up with these like little stars or these little lights here. And again, she's kind of in a kind of crescent moon shape here for me as well. So there, I do feel that there is this similarity within these energies, but also these two towers as well. Again, that Gemini energy, that kind of the twins energy. And one of them you can see very clearly, and the other one is kind of hidden and in the background. And the moon is in the background as well. She does almost emulate that moon there. She's almost kind of copying the actual shape of that crescent moon. Which of course is also our covering energy here of the Cancer energy. And what Cancer energy is all about. Which we need to work on together. But we're reluctant to do so. So this is in reverse. So it is about things that are going on behind the scenes that are not yet being revealed and that we're not ready for. And again, it is the number 2 as well. literally, we have the number 2 on there, and these 2 towers here as well. And some of the things that may not be being revealed yet, which are yet to be revealed, should I say, is disclosure. That there is so much more to this world in so many ways that they are so aware of that we are not privy to. Even down to the kind of very, like the frequency, energy level of how everything actually is. There are people on this planet who are very, very, very aware of it, and yet they don't want us to know it because they want to keep us in this kind of traditional run-of-the-mill, keeping everything going, keeping everything running the way it always has been. But that's not how it's going to be, because things have already changed. Okay, so the Ace of Swords is the energy that's come out with this Venus card here. So this is communication. This is new communication. This is again with this ace here as well. It's about love, both about love, but this is about having to communicate it. And in many ways, I feel it's saying, you know, if we don't communicate it, then we're not going to get any further. This is what I feel the Venus retrograde has been kind of working on. The need to communicate the truth here. The Ace of Swords, new energy that we have been working through, working with. The Ace can cut through things. Or the sword can cut through things. In this card, it's there, it's unsheathed, so it's kind of saying that it's there, you can pick it up, you can use it for your benefit. And it kind of looks to me as though it's kind of cut through that ribbon as well, as if it's kind of releasing that. The ribbon kind of represents the freedom from the ties of things, of being tied to things that we have allowed ourselves to be tied to as well. The colour blue is all about the throat chakra, so it is about communication. The sword is about the sword of truth. And it does kind of almost look like a pencil or a pen there as well, this kind of sheath that it has here. Almost could see it as an instrument for writing with. For me, it's coming through like that today, like a pen, like almost like that saying, you know, the pen is mightier than the sword. So kind of like, you know, we've tried this, we've tried that sword energy over and over and over again. We've tried conquering and we've tried owning and kind of taking over by force in many ways. And we've even tried to do that with love as well. Like we've even tried to force relationships. We've tried to make things turn out the way that we wanted them to. And maybe we haven't been very honest about our feelings and our emotions as well. But it is upright. So for me, it's kind of saying the communication is very open open. Communication is open at this time. New communication, new narrative, a new way of seeing things, a new way of looking at the world, understanding, communicating. A very mercurial energy. Swords, Gemini, Mercury, also the energy of Libra and Aquarius. And I will just also say that this energy here is very Piscean and very Neptunian energy, and we have Neptune in Pisces in the 12th house, so she's very much at home, and she is also just about to go retrograde. So this could also be the energy that we are really kind of picking up on at this moment. And also when Neptune goes retrograde, Mercury, who has already gone retrograde, will be trining each other as well. So there could be some real kind of confusion, misunderstandings, miscommunication here as well. Interesting. And then just as I say that, we have the Eight of Wands come out, which is very much about miscommunication and misunderstandings and things not necessarily what's the word here? Things not necessarily being taken the right way. Because when it's upright, it's like all of these rods are coming in, but they're coming in with kind of communication that kind of makes sense, and it's going somewhere, and your life is kind of going smoothly and running easily. But when it's up this way, it's kind of saying that life's in a place of kind of struggle, and misunderstandings can happen, can arise easily. Eight of Wands can be to do with communication again. It's to do with the fire element, the creativity, the drive, the desire, the passion. We have had Mars in Pisces for the last 5 weeks or so, is it? 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. It's just, I think, moved out yesterday into its home sign of Aries. I think it was yesterday that happened, which is going to completely change the dynamic. But it's also come out with this Death card upside down as well. So this is what's in the deeper subconscious, is that transformation, which is really what the Death card is about, change. And we have been seeing a lot of that happening around us, and we are kind of feeling it on a deeper level as well, particularly with this energy of Neptune and everything that we've been going through with the plague, as I like to call it, rather than giving it its name. It's a very Neptunian ruled energy. Neptune rules viral plague type situations. So that's a very strong possibility that this is also why this energy has come out in reverse as well, because we are having to come to terms with this energy, having to come to terms with what's happened here. And this could also be to do with miscommunication as well, and things not necessarily being completely out in the open yet, as I was saying here as well. And I also go into that in my astrology reading as well, as to how and why these things are kind of astrologically taken place. So the energy of death itself, the energy of change, the energy of transformation, Pluto energy. This is the ruler. Pluto rules the underworld. Pluto has no what's the word I'm looking for? Pluto has no real agenda. Pluto just is. Pluto does. Pluto is powerful. When Pluto says something's ended, then something has ended and you cannot stop it. Even though he might have been degraded, like he's no longer seen as a planet. He's now a brown dwarf. So he's kind of been dethroned, shall we say, but he's still Lord of the Underworld, and you don't mess with the Lord of the Underworld. So this is kind of what we are seeing. This Pluto energy is playing out, and I did kind of mention this previously as well in another video that I did. I can't remember which one it was, one of my astrological videos, about how this energy, like Pluto in Capricorn, takes no prisoners. And that the people who are most likely to suffer from this would be the elderly, which is kind of what we have seen. But it's hard. It's like we are finding it hard to come to terms with this, and we're going to find it even harder because this is still in our subconscious. We're still digesting this. We still, I don't feel, actually reached the full understanding and knowledge of what this all means yet, which could also be what this is about as well, because it is the card of truth, of things coming to light in that sense, but not yet being revealed. So let's see what the future energy is that's coming in. What's coming in for us in the near future from this Cancer new moon solar eclipse. Near future energy here. What is the near future energy for this new moon in Cancer solar eclipse? Looks like the cards have gone quiet before they were jumping about everywhere. Sometimes that can mean that I've still got more to say on something. So, oh no, we've got one. That's good. Oh, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. It is in reverse, but we do have the Wheel of Fortune, and the Wheel of Fortune, reverse or not, is kind of a karmic energy. It's kind of saying that, you know, things change in the right time, whether or not we want them to, whether or not it fits in with our plan, whether we want things to be faster or slower, or it's all about divine timing. And you can't force divine timing, because divine timing is literally the planets doing their thing. So that's kind of what this is saying to me here. It's like literally you've got all the astrological signs on this card here, and the wheel, and you've got these symbols. The sun is in the center, which is kind of the heliocentric version. So the sun, rather than our earth being in the center and us seeing everything with the sun and the moon, etc., it's kind of the sun is at the very center, because the sun is, and everything else moves around it. So it's seeing it from that heliocentric point, which is a very different way of looking at it to the kind of astrological. This is kind of more of a astronomical way of looking at it. So astronomically, it's like clockwork. It literally is, and that's how astrology works as well. But it is like clockwork. It's like you can say, you know, in so many years' time, this planet is going to be here, because this energy is like on a giant clock. And so it also talks about the bigger cycles beyond that as well, which kind of brings me into, okay, It's kind of bringing me into a place that I didn't think I was going to be going, but it's bringing me into a place of the fact that we are moving out of one large cycle that we have been through for the last 2,000 years. And at the end of this year, when we have a Jupiter and Saturn conjunction that's going to be taking place on the 21st of December, at the 0 point of Aquarius, which is kind of like 6 months from today, literally, we will be having a 0 point conjunction again, but this time it's going to be Saturn and Jupiter at the 0 point of Aquarius, which is the kind of lead into the next 2,000 years, the Aquarian age coming in, which is kind of the breakdown of all this old age that we're seeing here. Neptune is literally at home in her own place, which is Pisces, which is the energy that we've been working through for the last 2,000 years. It's the bigger cycle, and if you don't know anything about this, you may want to go and check it out and look it up online. There's lots and lots of information. There's YouTube videos out there. There's lots of things, different websites that will talk to you about this grand cycle. So I feel that that's also what this is about. But it's also kind of saying, you know, we've got to kind of be, in some ways, we've got to be prepared and ready for it as well, which is why we're having to kind of clean out and move beyond. But these 6 months coming up are going to be crazy. I will just say that. It's going to be very different. Okay, I'm not going to take it, but we have just had the Lovers card fall out again, which again is that masculine and female energy, and we do have it here as well. So maybe I will take it, but I am going to, because it's come out with the Four of Cups and I'm kind of being told to take it, so I will take it. It is that masculine, feminine connection. Twin souls, twin flames, Gemini, Venus in Gemini, searching the twin energies. Over the Four of Cups, as I was saying, that missing element. Maybe that is the missing element. It has come out upright, so it does kind of imply to me. And we have another card which I... Okay, interesting. Interesting. Okay, so we have the Four of Cups here, which, as I was talking about, was this kind of disappointed energy, this discontentment, things not going the way that we want them to go. And then we also have the Five of Cups here, and if you look, it's like the masculine here and the feminine here. So we've got the feminine energy and we've got the masculine energy here, and then in between the two we just happen to have the Lovers card here. So I will talk about this Five of Cups energy here and what this kind of is expressing to me. We have this kind of course, the Two of Cups that came out in our near future as well. And you can see those two cups behind him there. And the Three Cups are literally kind of spilt down here as well. And she has those three cups there. So those three cups are spilt. She has those three cups. And it feels to me like a divide has gone on here. And maybe this is even something, because this is our longer term future, maybe this is what we're going to come to terms with or realise, is that there has been this divide. And he's literally on his knees here as well. He's literally on his knees. It's almost like he has no idea what more he can do about this situation. Like the divine masculine energy. It's like, what more can I do? What more can I, how much more can I give? Am I giving things the right way even? And it does literally look to me like he is on his knees praying here. I thought he might have been holding something in his hand, but I don't think he is. He's not leaning on a sword or anything like that. But he just looks tired and worn out, and like he's just reached the end. Like it's a battle. He's even wearing armour here. And he's all in gold as well, so he does kind of imply that gold, divine, masculine kind of sun energy. Whereas she's in kind of very subtle, pretty pink. That kind of feminine, more moon-related kind of energy, light, and because the sun is very glaring, it's very bright, the sun can burn, whereas the feminine energy, sorry, is very much more subdued and receptive. But right in the middle of these two energies, literally, and I wasn't going to take it, but it was like, take it, so I did. So this is kind of what I'm feeling, this is the kind of separation of the male and the female energies, the kind of like both being completely getting to the point where this is on a kind of divine level, if you like, on a kind of like collective level of the energies of the masculine and the feminine, that both of us are going to get to complete exhaustion point with the other energy for not understanding each other. But ultimately, it's like saying to me that, you know, there has to be this meeting point. There has to be. And for me, again, this has kind of come through as that twin flame love, which is kind of, you know, Venus. Venus, the goddess of love, a goddess of desire. Also, there's this rose tree in the back as well, and what I'm getting from that now is the fact that, you know, roses, as beautiful as they are, they do have thorns, and love, as beautiful as it can be, has its own thorns, and it can be painful, but ultimately we learn, or we can learn. And sometimes the only way we can learn is through these adverse situations that we have to find ourselves in. And the Five of Cups here is literally that kind of adverse energy. So I think that's where I'm going to kind of finish this reading. Is that I do feel as though this Cancer new moon solar eclipse is really kind of working on the masculine and the feminine energies. I feel that that is really the strongest message for me that has come through from that, and that is kind of in my reading that I did yesterday, not just through the tarot cards, but it has kind of turned up here as well today, this real kind of sense of needing to come together, this unity, the unity between the two that is needed. needed for the collective and needed for the planet and needed in many ways to keep the human race alive, even if we want to survive. We have to come to terms basically and fundamentally with our masculine and female nature, and the fact that one is driven more dynamically and action orientated and the other one is much more passive and receptive, and those are the masculine and feminine energies, and we all have both within us. And some women want to be mothers and take care of their children, and some women don't want to have families. And you know, it's that kind of like, you know, there is no set in stone answer. It is all individual. But until we kind of come to terms with those two energies, really, fundamentally, that are reflected in the masculine and the feminine in the physical bodies that we have, until we come to terms with the fact that we are both, and yet we can be more than one, more one than the other within that both energy. It's going to keep dividing us. It's going to keep that that challenging energy of not understanding each other going. But I feel that this is what this new moon energy is about, changing. And the Namaste card, because I pulled a Namaste blessing card here, and I got blessed tranquility. And again, for me, there is the 2 here as well. You look at it this way or whichever way suits best. There's this kind of reflection here of one reflecting the other. And again, it doesn't matter which way up you put it, it's going to be the same either way. And again, that for me is kind of symbolic of this masculine feminine energy. And so the Blessed Tranquility card is saying your feelings are surfacing in order to be healed. Have faith and know that you are safe. Trust the current waves of emotion shall become a sea of tranquility, full of love and blessings. And that kind of fits in really, really well with this Ace of Cups at the very beginning. It is a new earth that we are birthing. It is a new time that we are moving into. And it is a time where we are going to have to learn to express our hearts. And it is a time of more unity, of coming together rather than more separation. Trying to find a spot where that's not kind of glaring for you. There you go, that's better. And lastly, just to stay with the theme of 2s here, 2 of these cards fell out. And again, I was only going to take 1, but again, I was told no. And again, 1 for me is much more masculine and 1 is much more feminine. But again, both are within each other. So interestingly, let's just read very quickly. We have the Septarian Nodules, which is this card here. And I think this has come out in a previous reading that I've done. It's the root chakra and its colour is brown and white. And it says, you probably have never seen or heard of us before. We are being found in the Great Lakes on the planet, in America, in South America, Europe and Asia. In the distant past, we had a different composition than we do now. In more recent years, we have undergone a process of transformation, which is also this energy here as well, this transformation that we're all going through, that we're not particularly enjoying maybe, that has linked the mineral kingdom and the element of water. We are participating in a joint project with our friends, the overlighting diva of water and the water spirits of key lakes on the planet. These lakes are energy nodes. Our name nodules comes from nodes. Interesting, talking of nodes, the moon's nodes as well. Septarian relates to the power of the number 7 and a 7-cycle process. This process is time and spatially orientated to trigger a network of energy and light across the planet. A preparation is in progress so that more light can be carried within the planet and by all beings on the planet. This gathering of light is one of the many celebrations marking the approach of the millennium, which is like 20 years ago now. So that kind of did have a big effect as well, because numerologically, never find that easy to say, we shifted out of the number 1 and we moved into the number 2, which again is a very feminine number. So we've gone from the number 1, which was the sun energy. 1 relates to the sun. The first number is the sun number, and its colour is gold, and we shifted into the number 2, which is the feminine energy relating to the moon, and its colour is silver as well. So there is also a kind of more subtleness in a way to the number 2 than there is to the number 1. So we've been living all that time from the first year of the number 1. Every year had the number 1 in it, so it was always like 19 something. In the 19th century or the 18th century was 1 and something. So 1 was the dominant number, so to speak. And then we've now shifted into 2. So the more dominant number and the more dominant energy is the moon energy. So where are we? So physically we are brown, the colour of your root chakra and of the soil, the heart of the earth. As minerals age, they disintegrate into soil, which can be used for planting. This evolution of our kingdom is designed to provide food and healing substances for the animal and human kingdoms. It is also part of another cooperative program to assist the plant kingdom in fulfilling its mission. The animal, plant and mineral kingdoms are always helping each other. We find that whatever we accomplish, there is a qualitative difference for the better when we work together instead of separately, which is kind of the theme that I was trying to get to with this energy here. And coming together and working as a unit, in unity. There's also this energy here as well, the unity energy, which we don't find easy because we've been put into positions or situations of conflict and competition. Although the process is imperceptible to the human eye, water spirits in lakes and waterfalls affect a physical change in us by whirling, spiralling faster than the speed of light. The divas of the lakes hold the space for this to occur. Lasered into our brown surface are inscriptions from the water spirits. Each has a message for the humans we find. It's quite interesting. It looks like the cross. It actually looks to me like the cardinal cross indeed that I was talking about earlier. It could even be seen as that cross, which is quite interesting because that's where the Cancer new moon has just taken place. The messages are linked to the same network of communication as that of the crop circles. Although our information is not geometric, it is a different encryption of the same language. The white markings on our bodies are pure light frozen in stone. Some of these engravings resemble cave pictographs that were created by star travellers and early humans. Many of us have been imprinted with a likeness of the water spirit who carved us. Our stone pictographs are a mode of communication through which we are trying to reach you. We were seeded here millions of years ago by star travellers. They left us as transmitting devices with whom they could establish contact after they had departed. We have not been used as transmitters for a very long time. Over the millennia, our original purpose must have been forgotten by those who placed us here. We did not realise it at first, but we had forgotten our purpose here too. which is literally what this card is called. If you look at it, it is called Purpose. And one of the reasons that I kept it was because when you put these two together, it says Purpose. Oops, sorry, I can't hold on to them. Behave. It says Purpose, Unconditional Love, which I think is very much this energy here, and the Cancerian energy, new moon as well. Just find where I am. Purpose. We have got, okay, we existed, and by definition that existence indicated that we had value. That was all we knew. It took us a while to realise that we did have a mission to fulfil. Once we remembered that, we felt better, knowing that there was a specific reason we had come to Earth. On the other hand, we felt bad that we could not remember what it was. We did not have a sense of ourselves. It seemed that we were drifting. We felt isolated because we were different. Over time, we came to see that coming into yourself does not happen on one particular quiet, rainy afternoon. It is a process that occurs over time. Gradually, you discover yourself engaged in totally different thinking and feeling modes that you have never experienced before. Then it occurs to you that you have changed. The overlighting diva of the mineral kingdom wanted us to share our story with you because our histories are similar. You were endowed by our Creator with a grand purpose. Each of you has a purpose individually and as part of a group, collectively, like us. The diva thought that if you heard our story, you would be reminded of your own life. You may not know where you are going or what your purpose is, but you have a valuable role to play day by day while you are waiting for it to be revealed. It is the quality of how you spend your days that makes up your life. We decided that even though we did not remember why we were here, we wanted to contribute whatever we could, whatever was needed. Almost as soon as we did that, our reason for being emerged. It was through living a life that benefited everyone that we felt peace and our concern disappeared. Who we were and why we were here unfolded as a result of joining with the rest of existence to create the highest possible good for all. So I'm going to leave that there. There is more of it and it is interesting. But I think you kind of get the gist that what it's saying is that, you know, we too here on this planet have a purpose and we are needing to wake up and become aware of it and realise it. And maybe that's also what the High Priestess card was saying earlier. But I want to quickly read you the Watermelon, Tourmaline, Unconditional Love as well, because I do think that that's also very relevant. And the fact that they came out together as Purpose, Unconditional Love, I just thought was really very appropriate. So the first step, I'll quickly tell you, it's the heart chakra and it's green and pink. And also, not to forget, green Tara here. And also the pink that I was talking about here, this kind of softer, unconditional pink colour. So the first step to unconditional love is loving yourself unconditionally. In the universal school of love, self-love must precede love of others for a very practical reason. Love of self is the beginning, a kindergarten for testing out the love experience. It is a space to explore new feelings and experiences. You discover and play with them, paint them into your life. Interesting. And mould them into expression. They are your teachers. Self-love is important practice for opening your heart to others. If you can forgive yourself for your perceived misdeeds and imperfections, you will be capable of doing the same for others. You must release self-blame before you can truly embrace all other creatures. You have grown accustomed to giving love based on deservedness. When someone has been kind to you, or when you consider them to be a good person. What about people who have hurt you or appear to be despicable in some way? Are they less deserving of love? In reality, they may need a lot more love than the folks who seem more worthy. Unconditional love means that there are no strings attached, no conditions placed on your gift of love. The universe makes no distinction about the worthiness of recipients for love and abundance. In its eyes, all are created from the original spark, and therefore all are filled with divine light. Do you always give altruistically? There are many times when you give of yourself because you feel obligated, guilty, or pressured from external forces. Do not chastise yourself for what you might consider to be unpure motives. See those incidents for what they are, but understand that this is not the same as unconditional love. You could also even be talking about this energy here as well. When giving comes from a place of unconditional love, fellowship is shared between two souls and hearts are opened. So this is what we are needing. This is kind of what we are going to be experiencing, I feel, when the time is right. This is a karmic destiny, I feel, on some levels. This is our karmic destiny from this kind of point forward of where we're heading as a human race. The melding of the pink and green energies of our colours represent the reverence of self and the reverence of others, part of the domain of the heart chakra. Our physical structure shows how the two travel together as interlocking complementary aspects of each other. They are the yin and the yang of love expression, the inturning and the outpouring of love. In order for it to overflow, you have to fill it up yourself first. Unkind, hurtful behaviour is a distortion of universal goodness and godliness. But the soul learns through experiences. In the process, it may get banged around and lash out with negativity. This may be undesirable and repugnant, as I was talking about earlier with the thorn as well. Love having thorns. However, it is part of the process of duality that must be experienced before the natural returning to the light. The return to wholeness is a reabsorption of dark into light. It is a decision that must be consciously entered into by each individual to provide the soul with the necessary information for growth. You must experiment with both the light and dark expressions of your character throughout many incarnations. After numerous adventures testing each side out, you will decide which path you want to follow. You have selected our card because unconditional love wants to express itself in your life. You may be the giver or the receiver. Regardless, you will learn more about unconditional love through your experience with it. What do you need to understand about unconditional love that will allow you to express or receive it more fully? Do you feel that you are loving unconditionally? If not, how can you bring this energy into your life? What steps can you take? Although it appears to be a contradiction, unconditional love, ironically, has some conditions that it places on you. One prerequisite for unconditional love is allowing others to be who they are and not who you want them to be. Again, this energy here, this competition, this kind of fighting, this kind of not accepting our own masculine and feminine energies within us. As long as they must meet some pre-specified goal of yours, they will likely fall short and appear unworthy of your love. They are worthy because they exist, not because they meet standards that you or others set for them. Forgiveness is also a fundamental component of unconditional love. If you are harbouring resentment towards others, it will be impossible to truly love them. Try to see their abusive or neglectful behaviour as the tormented acting out of people in great agony. Although it may not appear so on the surface, we can assure you their souls are under siege. They have lost their true selves and are flailing away in the wilderness to find them. Unfortunately, in the process, you may be subjected to their insensitivity or cruelty. Let the pain, anger and bitterness surface in your heart. Grieve for yourself and the others involved. Purge your soul of this darkness that has possessed you for such a long time. It has imprisoned you. Set yourself and the perpetrators free. Unconditional love is purely motivated by compassion, caring and an open heart. The bonus is that love given with the intention of helping, healing and allowing returns the same experience to the giver. Although never the intention of unconditional love, it is a delightful, unexpected benefit. Above all, do not forget that you are profoundly deserving of the same unconditional love that you extend to others. My throat's getting a little bit dry there. So I am going to finish the reading there and say thank you very much for watching and listening to this new moon solar eclipse in Cancer. I do think the last part of the unconditional love that I just read is very relevant for this new moon. I do think it is about opening our hearts to unity rather than closing it down to more separateness and separatism, which can be used against us and often is. So again, I'm going to say thank you very much for watching and listening and subscribing to my channel. Really do appreciate it. Please could you like it up, thumbs it for me so that it gets out into the bigger YouTube world where the algorithms can pick it up and put it out onto the bigger stage as well, and therefore people can come back to my channel and also subscribe, watch my videos and kind of get my messages and see what it's all about. Again, for those of you who have subscribed, I really do appreciate it. Please also leave me a comment, because it is nice to know that my messages are making sense and that they're resonating with some of you out there as well. It's always really nice to get feedback and actually know that I'm connecting with some people out there. So that does make a difference to me as well. And I will try and answer your comments. I have been really busy over this last week or so. So I do apologise if I haven't done that yet. Also, tap the bell for the videos that will be released in the coming weeks. I will be putting out a couple more videos about the Neptune retrograde that's about to take place as well. So I think I need to go and get a drink, and saying that, please also share my videos with anybody who you think it may make sense to, or that they're interested in finding out more about this kind of thing. And until then, please take very good care of yourselves. I hope this new moon solar eclipse is going to be a wonderful experience for each and every one of us in the collective. And take care. Hopefully I will see you again soon.